None of us really know. None of us really know.
I know.
No, I know. Perfect timing, Keith.
Keith, what's up?
Your favorite movie of all time. F9.
Oh, good.
How is there any other choice than Remember the Titans being number one?
I'm curious.
I'm spoiling mine, but
Well, let's see. Here we go. Yeah, that's a good
I'm
question,
not even
Brian.
done talking.
you shouldn't be talking at this point.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to Apocaflix Now, our main show here at Apocaflix Movies, the YouTube channel. I'm your host tonight, Jacob Bartley, and I'm joined by these two gentlemen here that you can see on your screen. I'll go ahead and introduce Gio Ramos first. What's going on, Gio?
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's been a crazy work week already. It's only Tuesday. Downtown Sacramento is extremely busy, and just trying to keep up with that. By the way, I'm just going to take a moment right now. If you're watching and you didn't know, Jacob, the host, myself, and Mr. Berlin here, we're all living in the Sacramento area, and you may have heard through national, news, television, whatnot, that downtown Sacramento experienced a mass shooting over the weekend, and it really affected all of us, and particularly in this stream, because we live so close to that area, and just we just can't imagine something like that would happen so close to us until it finally does. So we just want to take a moment to send our thoughts and prayers to all the victims out there, anybody who may have been affected. The three of us being from the area or living in the area, it really hits us. And so we just want to send our prayers out to everybody and hope you all are receiving a tremendous amount of love and support. So that's all.
To add to that, first of all, it's awful, and it's one of the worst that has happened in a long time. And they did have 2 suspects in custody earlier today, which is a huge thing. But Keith and Brian are actually, out of the 5 of us, they are the 2 that actually live in the city limits of Sacramento.
Yeah, and Keith
Sacramento
was down there 2 hours before it happened.
Yeah,
too.
Sacramento it's considered a larger area, and in our cities that we live in are considered part of Sacramento. And there's a dozen of them that are in they call it the greater Sacramento area. But Keith and Brian, they actually live inside the city limits of Sacramento. So, it's terrible. But thankfully everyone is okay here, and everyone we know. It's rough. It's rough. Actually, it's funny. Gabby and I, it's not really funny, but Gabby and I it was our anniversary yesterday, and we actually went to grab dinner downtown right across from the Kings Arena, and just going down there felt eerie because of everything happening, and we had questioned kind of where we wanted to park just because we weren't sure what was happening, and they hadn't got anybody yet at that time. And it's a weird thing to kind of have that something like that happen so close. It's from us, it's 20 minutes, and it's pretty wild. So.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Gio. Like, that's something definitely important to us, and I'm terrified when I hear about stuff like that happening, especially in our hometown, because we know so many people here, and you never know when it could be somebody that you know or somebody that you used to know. So thank you all for the support. We really, really appreciate it. And yeah, there's no easy way to talk about that, but yeah, it's definitely something that is terrible and hopefully does not happen again anywhere ever. So yeah, thank you all for the support. And Jimmy Freckles, did I see you're from LBC, Long Beach City? Is that what that is? Because I basically grew up in Long Beach City because my grandpa lives there, and I used to go there every summer. and visit for the whole summer. So if that's Long Beach, nice, man. I love that town.
And just real quick, shout out to PJ. He's from Sac.
Oh, nice.
So he's from
Awesome.
Sacramento. He resides in good old Arizona now. But yeah, so that's another brother from this area. So
Yes, absolutely.
Arizona.
Jake, other than that crappy stuff that we all have to deal with, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I've had it's been a week here at this household. Obviously you guys all know we're in the midst of wedding planning, and that's been a lot of stuff happening here under this roof. A lot of wedding planning going on, kind of back and forth on a lot of things. And I mean, we're 4 months away at the moment, just over 4 months away. So it's getting close. And over the weekend, my backyard got finished. I know that I told you guys we were remodeling the backyard. Backyard is finished, and now it's putting together the nooks and crannies. And I basically spent Friday afternoon / evening, Saturday and Sunday all in the backyard, and I about wanted to fall asleep at like 2 o'clock on Sunday. The sun, because it was really nice over the weekend here in Sac.
Yeah.
And I was just spent. I was so tired. And this week with work's been a little rough because it's end of the month, and if you know end of the month stuff with work, it's a little rough sometimes closing out billing and stuff. But other than that, man, I'm good. Dogs are chilling. We're healthy. Gabby's working her tail off, but she's healthy. Nothing major to complain about here. So
awesome. That's good to hear, man. I can't wait to see the house. Once it's all, we haven't been over in a while, so can't wait.
Yeah,
to see
no,
it.
hey, we've been talking about behind the scenes, and we can let our viewers know we try to do a team meeting every month or two. It's been a little bit since our last one. We've been pretty busy, but I usually hold them, whether it be here at the house or a restaurant somewhere in the area. Now that the backyard's finished, we got a place to be.
Absolutely.
Hey.
Yeah, can't wait. So Keith should be joining us here a little bit later. He will be, and we're going to talk about some of the movies that we've watched recently. We are going to obviously talk about Bruce Willis and just basically celebrate his career. But before we get to that, we are going to get to the thing that I'm going to stall so I can bring up the
every time, Jacob. Every time
the movie watching challenge.
Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, that actually worked.
If you had not said anything, we would have just. But you
went with it. Yeah,
it's funnier that I can bring it up like that. It's it's 2 weeks in a row. You're like this. I'm stalling.
It's my fault because I start transitioning and then I'm like, oh shoot, I'm the one who's supposed to click it. So there we go. I got it this time. Just got to scroll down a little bit there. But yes, the movie watching challenge. So every week, one of us are challenged to a new movie, or not a new movie, but a movie that we haven't seen. So it's new
movie for you.
New movie for us, new movie for the viewer. I was challenged to In Bruges, the Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson movie. Nice. And you can get my thoughts on that on the YouTube channel. The video went up earlier today.
Quick thoughts though, Jacob. Just quick
thoughts.
It's like a couple sentences.
Yeah. So this movie completely surprised me because I remember I asked you guys, what is it? Is it a comedy? Is it a drama? It's kind of a little bit of everything, right? It's hilarious, pretty deep and dark. So yeah, I was pretty shocked. It went places I was not expecting, and I go a little bit in depth on that on the review. So go ahead and check that out. And I really enjoyed it. It's definitely worth a watch. If you ever get a chance, check it out because it is one of the most unique movies I've ever seen, to be honest. It's very, very unique. And I'm sure Jake knows what I'm talking about. But yes, so I challenged the next viewer. And Jake, we haven't talked about this yet, but I'm challenging you.
Ooh.
And
I know because I edited the video, but that's okay.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you if you knew that I challenged you and what movie it is, but I saw on the video, it pops up on the screen. He's going to be watching Eyes Wide Shut, the Stanley Kubrick film starring Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman. And look, I know it's on the list, but I think a couple weeks ago you had mentioned that this is a movie that is on your radar. Sometime soon.
When I was editing the video earlier, I was like, "Oh, cool, Eyes Wide Shut," and then it popped in my head about 2 weeks ago. I almost rented it to watch it. No joking. Wow. Like it was like the biggest coincidence. I had been going through this this kind of like Tom Cruise phase of watching films of his from the past, and obviously Eyes Wide Shut being a big one of his past. But I think the reason why I didn't watch it then is because from what I've heard, it's a movie you have to watch that like requires your 100% attention, but also not in a situation where someone can see the screen and be like, oh my God, what are you watching? Like I've heard some things about it.
Same.
So I want to make sure that I may be like watching it while Gabby's sleeping or in the living or something, not somewhere where people are like overlooking my shoulder being like, what the F is that dude watching?
Yeah.
Maybe
It does get
surround
a little
sound before you name
weird.
it.
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
I would say don't watch it with your parents in the room. That's
well,
probably a
duh,
good
duh,
thing.
duh.
But hey, Gabby can join you while you watch the movie. Nothing wrong with that.
She's
If she's
gonna be so
interested,
bored, dude.
if she's interested. Gio, have you seen Eyes Wide Shut? I know we've talked about it before.
I have not, but I've heard stories about it.
Yeah,
Maybe
it's interesting.
turn down that surround sound, Jake, and
Yeah,
or
it
more
is a
like
Stanley
crank up
Kubrick
that
film.
surround sound.
Yeah,
You
there
know
we
what I
go.
mean?
Surround sound. Hey, Dolby.
Yeah, I saw this movie when I was very young. Probably shouldn't have, but you know how it goes. But yes, Jake
Samir.
will be watching Eyes Wide Shut. I think people forget that Stanley Kubrick directed this movie. I think it was one of his last movies. It was
what, late 90s, I think.
Yeah, very near the end of his career. So
People in the chat, what was Stanley Kubrick's last movie? Excuse me.
I bet you PJ knows. I bet you PJ knows.
It's a great trivia question.
This is 99.
Yeah,
Come on, PJ. What was
99.
Kubrick's last movie?
Yeah, but so Jake will be watching Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut.
And reviewing it for the YouTube channel. So hey, what a way to go out. Stanley
he didn't
Kubrick,
do a movie for 12 years.
That's crazy.
Wait a minute.
The movie before that he did was Full Metal Jacket in 87.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I thought. Well, I mean, I'm referring to the chat. I thought AI was directed by Spielberg.
It is Spielberg. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But man, Kubrick 12 years. That's a big deal.
Wow.
Yeah,
I mean,
it is.
Jake, can you imagine Denis Villeneuve not directing a movie for 12 years? Like,
dude, I would probably kill myself.
I
would hate that.
That would suck.
I would effing hate that, dude.
Yeah, he was more prolific earlier in his career, though.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%, 100%. He's getting older, obviously.
What were you saying, Gio?
No, I mean that's like James Cameron between Titanic and Avatar.
I thought you were just gonna say between Avatar and Avatar 2, and I was about to kick you off this stream.
I mean,
okay, let's move on to our next topic. Let's just move on to our next topic.
That's
29.
True, yeah.
2009 to
wait, he hasn't
13 years.
Hold on. He hasn't directed since Avatar? No.
He hasn't directed a feature film since Avatar.
No way.
Yeah, he hasn't.
He
so
was
that's the same amount of time.
He was going to do Alita Battle Angel, but that went to Robert Rodriguez, and yeah.
That's crazy.
Oh my God, he hasn't directed a movie since Avatar.
What are you doing, James?
We got to move on.
Avatar 2 better be
more excited for Avatar.
No, let's just move on, please.
Yeah, so check in next week. We'll get Jake's thoughts, and we'll find out who he's challenging for the next movie watching challenge. All right. So since, we got the boys here and we got a little bit of time here, let's talk about some of the movies that we've been watching. We don't always get a chance to do this. And it's always good checking in, talking with our buddies and the viewers about what movies we've been watching. Jake, since you kind of brought this up, I'll go to you first, man. What's on your mind? What'd you view lately?
So I wanted to bring this up just because we did this a lot during quarantine, obviously because we needed topics to talk about, and we were like talking to each other about what we were watching, etc. But I just thought before we kind of get into the nitty gritty about Bruce Willis and kind of celebrate him and the unfortunate things that are kind of happening with him, maybe we'll take 10 minutes to talk about maybe some of the films we've been catching up on, especially because the Oscars came and went, and some of those movies now are available. For me, there's 3 movies that I've caught up on recently, and there's one that I still haven't gotten a chance to watch that I'm really looking forward to. But the 3 are, oh my God, I'm forgetting the full name of it. Hold on a second. So I have Turning Red. Turning Red. I have Encanto and The Eyes of Tammy Faye. That's what it was. I forgot the beginning of Tammy Faye.
Heavy hitters, man.
So I watched all 3 of those in the last, I would say probably about a week, maybe to 10 days, somewhere around there. And there are movies that I've been looking forward to. You guys know how big of a fan of Jessica Chastain I am. I've been a fan of hers for a very, very long time. I'll watch anything that Pixar does, obviously Encanto and then Turning Red, is a movie that so many people were talking about as a film. So those are the three that I really focus on. The one that I'm really wanting to watch is Coda, and I just haven't gotten a time and place to do it because it is focused on a deaf family. I want to make sure that my full focus is there because I know it's going to be a lot of visuals, and I don't want to have my eyes going everywhere. So I got to find a time and place for that. But no, look, The Eyes of Tammy Faye was a good movie. I really, really liked it, but I thought the performance of Jessica Chastain is what I came out of that movie thinking about more. And obviously she won the Oscar for it. And rightfully so. I thought she was fantastic. The role is, you need to be able to step foot into someone like that. And there's very few people that can do that to that level. And Jessica Chastain is obviously one of them. Andrew Garfield was fantastic in that as well. It's funny. I didn't even know he was in that movie before I started watching it.
Yeah, you're breaking news for me.
Because it's just her on the poster. The title's about her. Like, I don't even remember if I even saw like a full-blown trailer for the film. I just knew that it was Jessica Chastain in this film about this woman named Tammy Faye, and that's essentially all I went into going or knowing. I don't need to say much about either Turning Red or Encanto. Those two films, they speak for themselves. Turning Red is absolutely fantastic. It's one of my favorite animated films in the last, I don't know how many years.
Yeah, it's great.
It's so enjoyable. There's so many great meanings and everything in that film. And the characters are fantastic. I think the characters are fantastic. The animation is fantastic. The mythology behind it is fantastic. And the same can be spoken for Encanto. Just the idea of that film, and two films that are focusing on, different societies and how their backgrounds influence the modern day take on these families, right? Like, in Encanto, they have this family who goes back generations of this magic, etc., that is now affecting them today. Same thing is in Turning Red. This young girl who is going through life is now dealing with this gigantic thing of turning into a red panda. And it's all about what has come before her with all of this family history, these choices that have been made by her former relatives, etc. Two very powerful films. Really, really enjoyed them. I love the color, the vibrancy of them. And it's Pixar at their best. It really is. When Pixar does original stuff that isn't sequels, that's when they're at their best. And I can't be happier with those two animated films. I haven't felt like this about Pixar films, like two Pixar films in the same year, in a long time. And I know Turning Red just came out recently, like it's technically this year, but in the last like 6 months or so, they're on a really good run right now. So, and next up is Lightyear. So like, boom.
Yeah. Did you say which one you like better, Encanto or Turning Red? Because it's easy for me. It's easy for me.
Hi, Rachel. Bye, Rachel.
I'm surprised you have to think about it that hard.
I think, I love them. I think I'll go Turning Red.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But I would be interested in my thoughts after I watch them again.
Yeah. So I didn't like Encanto that much. It's a good movie, but I was like, oh, that was good. But Turning Red, I
gave them both 4 out of 5 stars. So put it that way.
Oh, that's about right. Yeah. Gio, I'll go to you, man. Any thoughts on those movies that Jake watched? And what have you been watching?
So I've seen Encanto and Turning Red only through.
You have a little niece. They're all in the house all the time.
My niece watches both of those all the time. I mean, I've seen those movies like probably 3 times now, but all out of order, as if Christopher Nolan directed it.
There you
go. Hey, real quick, Jake. So you saw those movies because of the Oscars, right? Or mainly like coming off of the Oscars, right?
I saw Tammy Faye because of the Oscar. Encanto and Turning Red. So Gabby and I actually watched Turning Red together. She wanted to watch it, and I had been trying to get her to watch Encanto, but we just hadn't found the time. And I remember starting Encanto like maybe a month ago, but I only got like literally like 30 seconds into the movie. Like the grandma was telling the little girl about the story about the family, and I had to shut it off, and I never went back to it. So it's just mainly because of wanting to watch them. Tammy Faye was because of the Oscars. That's the one because of the Oscars. And I haven't finished it, but I did start Spencer. But I'm only like 20 minutes into Spencer. So
coming off the Oscars.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's mainly because of the Oscar stuff. That's why I'm kind of catching up on these at the moment.
So I was gonna bring up Spencer. I'll just ask you now. Well, you saw 20 minutes of it, right? I think Kristen Stewart's great in it. Like from what
she's
you've seen,
incredible.
Yeah.
I'm questioning the film though.
Honestly, the film. Look, I'll be honest. The film's kind of boring. Honestly,
That's the vibe I'm getting. Only 20 minutes into it.
yeah,
Wow.
it's kind of boring. I didn't say it. Somebody else said this online. They said it's like a long perfume commercial, and that's exactly what it feels
That's
like.
brutal. That's brutal.
But Kristen Stewart, insanely good.
Yeah, and that's fine. It's more about the performance in the movie, but I
Yeah.
do wish the movie did have a little bit more oomph to it. But I
Yeah.
get it. You get it.
Yeah,
So,
it's
Gio,
still
go
worth
ahead, though. Sorry,
finishing
man.
though. It's still worth finishing. Yeah, go ahead, Gio.
No.
Well,
I was
you asked
trying
Jake a
to-
question. That's how we got off. That's how we got off track.
Well, Gio,
Well-
are you just gonna say that you've been rewatching the Snyder Cut or something, or what?
I was gonna say
That's why he's
coming off
smirking,
the
huh?
coming off the Oscars. Did you?
Yeah,
get
you-
to
that's
watch
what you
this?
did.
Goodness.
Oh my god!
Did you get to watch this coming off the Oscars?
Jesus,
We
here
can't
we go.
escape it. We
No,
can't.
we can't. We literally can't. We
At
can't.
least once a stream.
This is ridiculous, man.
By the way, those firings at Warner Media, yeah. love it.
Okay, let's not get into that. We're
Okay,
talking about
anyways,
what we've been watching. So Gio's been watching Snyder Cut. Okay. Okay.
No, honestly, all right. All seriousness, I saw a documentary that I have been meaning to watch for quite
The
some
Lakers
time
one?
now. Huh?
The Lakers one?
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm a Boston Celtics fan. Okay.
I know, but you're a
Doesn't mean you
basketball
can't
fan,
watch it.
so-
Yeah. No.
Winning
but,
time.
So a lot of you out there have probably heard and maybe have seen Val Kilmer's documentary.
Oh, you
called
watch Val.
I
Mm.
saw Val. I don't know. Maybe it was the Top Gun Maverick trailer that from last week. That
I keep forgetting
you know,
that's even available.
Yeah, it's on HBO Max, and let me tell you, I just not only do you get a deeper appreciation of Val Kilmer as an artist, as a filmmaker, but it also makes you just realize how much you miss him, and seeing him, and having grown up in the 90s and like Batman Forever being really the first Batman movie as a kid that I just loved and enjoyed. And yeah, it's not the best Batman movie, but for me,
Not the
seeing
worst.
all of them, yeah, oh yeah, sure, hashtag release the Schumacher cut.
Oh, stop it.
But
Stop it.
Oh my goodness.
that's what I do. But anyways, Val, yeah, I mean, just an incredible documentary. I mean, it's something that I think every film buff should be required to watch. It's very deep, very emotional. I mean, they do not hold back on Val Kilmer's struggles throughout his film time in Hollywood. I mean, he's still active. We're going to see him hopefully share the screen with Tom Cruise and Top Gun Maverick. But then it also shows Val Kilmer, his personal life, and specifically him, going through, treatment for his throat cancer that he went through. And it's just watching it and just like, it's just so emotional for, people who have enjoyed his movies and seen, a lot of his movies, whether you're growing up or catching them in recent years and whatnot. And you can't help it but like love the guy, love his personality. He throughout his entire life, he just had a video recorder with him, and you see a lot of behind the scenes. I mean, there is footage of him with a very young Kevin Bacon, a very young Sean Penn, while on the set of the first Top Gun movie back in '86. He talks about Batman Forever. He talks about, his career in the 2000s and how he was viewed as the actor who was difficult to work with and whatnot. And just, it's a very honest depiction of Val Kilmer. And I'll spend all my time talking about that documentary. It's absolutely worth a watch on HBO Max if you got it. Check out Val, and you will be wowed by what you see.
Gio, I would love to have you shoot a review for the channel on that full blown full blown discussion on that. If
Oh
you
hell yeah, yeah.
He basically just gave one right there.
Yeah, I
but
mean,
yeah,
I
that'd be
would love
cool.
to get like your full blown thoughts about everything. That way, people can really get your opinions on it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a documentary that I wouldn't mind revisiting again. That's how well made it is. That's how honest it is. It's unbiased, unfiltered. Val Kilmer and is, just him as a person, not just an artist. And you should absolutely check it out. I don't know if you guys have. I mean, obviously, you guys probably have some interest in watching it. So
Yeah,
No, absolutely. I heard about it a few months ago, and I'm definitely interested in checking it out for sure.
Don't even get me started on that, Samir. Oh my god. Yeah, they touch on Tombstone and man, just oh god. Yeah, I'm with you. Doc Hollitt. Oh man. One of the greatest performances in any Western you'll ever see.
Awesome.
Jacob, what have you been watching lately?
Yeah, so I'll tell you
Sorry.
what I didn't watch.
Oh, you're fine,
and
Gio, you're fine.
I told Jake about this really quick. I forgot to mention it. I bought tickets to go watch Morbius, right? We haven't talked about Morbius at all yet. Bought tickets to go watch Morbius.
Probably won't.
Saturday night. Was on my way out the door, and Taylor and I, my girlfriend, we were leaving, and we couldn't lock our front door. So it's one of those where it just has the top lock, and you have to turn the key and lock it. You can't lock it any other way. Our door would not lock. It wouldn't budge. The keyhole wouldn't budge, but you can lock it from the inside. So we were like, well, what are we supposed to do? We're not going to go to the movie. Started in 10 minutes. We're not going to go to the movie and leave our door unlocked all night. This was like 8:30 at night, right? Saturday night, our apartment complex, they're all closed down. So we decided not to go. And I'm like, I guess that's the universe telling me not to go watch Morbius. So
Damn.
I was like, I'm not going to go make another attempt and go out of my way to try to go watch it. I set aside Saturday night for it. Guess it was a no-go. I'll see it eventually. But one thing that I did watch recently, it was Death on the Nile.
Oh,
And look,
here we go.
I love Kenneth Branagh.
Okay.
Absolutely love Kenneth Branagh. Director and actor-wise. I also watched a few weeks ago, what was his Oscar movie? Belfast. Watched Belfast. Amazing. I have no idea how the same director directs Belfast and then directs Death on the Nile. Death on the Nile.
Or Artemis Fowl.
I know, right? Look, I'm getting to a place where like I don't want to crap on movies, but Death on the Nile is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Like it honestly feels like a spoof of Agatha Christie. Like it straight up feels like a spoof. I could not take it seriously. And halfway through the movie, I figured out exactly what was going to happen, and that exactly happened. And it just felt so cheesy, honestly. It felt so cheesy. So I liked Murder on the Orient Express. It wasn't great, but I liked it. I was like, okay, I'm excited for Death on the Nile. No more. Like I don't think Disney is going to fund another one of these movies, but I'm done with.
Gabby's been looking forward to it, and I know that's on HBO and Hulu now, so we're gonna check it out here soon.
It's entertaining, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not a good movie.
It happens. It happens.
Yeah, it does happen. But Belfast is absolutely incredible. So Kenneth Branagh, stick more to the Belfast.
Didn't he direct Cinderella live action?
Yeah,
yes,
he did. So
he directed Thor too.
I love the first Thor. I love Cinderella. I love
Jack Ryan
Belfast.
Shadow Crew. Kind of a fan.
Yeah. So he's a great director. So I don't know.
I mean,
maybe
great's a strong word. Great's a strong word.
Yeah, I think so because he just had an Oscar nominated film, and I considering Thor and a couple of his other movies. But yeah, those other movies bring it down though. Like I forgot he directed Artemis Fowl.
Yeah, man.
That was bad. One other one I wanted to bring up really quick is I watched Licorice Pizza, and look, Licorice Pizza is a good movie, but I didn't. Has anybody else seen it?
I have almost close to no interest in seeing it.
Yeah, so
I don't know why. I really do not know why, but I have close to no interest in seeing it.
It's supposedly based on real events or whatever, and it's just kind of boring, to be honest. It's just this kid who's this like I don't know how old he is. He's like 15 or 16, young actor who's obsessed with this 25-year-old girl, and he's like chasing her the whole movie. And it's like nothing happens. Like it's just boring. So I didn't get the appeal of Licorice Pizza. It's all these awards attention and stuff. So I don't know. I guess I'm being negative today. I brought up two movies that I was not
good.
excited
You're good.
about.
How could you talk about cinema like that? Come on,
I know,
man.
right? But
speaking of cinema, yes, he played Dr. Lovelace. Yeah.
That was him.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Kenneth Branagh played Dr. Lovelace.
he was the one, like the second lead, right? Or no? Or no?
No,
Or
he was the villain.
Oh, the villain. Yeah. He was also in.
By the way, I effing love Wild Wild West.
Yeah,
I
who was
watched-
that starring with Will Smith? Who's the other actor?
Kevin Conroy?
No, Kevin Kline.
Kevin Kline.
Oh, yeah,
thank
yeah,
you,
yeah,
Kevin
yeah.
Kline.
Speaking of
No,
that,
I like Wild Wild West too. That
Stop,
movie's a
Gio,
lot
stop.
of fun.
stop.
Hey, the movie,
Stop.
the movie may be absolutely terrible when it comes to like film reviews and stuff, but man, watching that movie as a kid, I love that movie.
Look, we were kids when that came out.
Yeah.
I think we get a pass for any movie that came out when
I
we were a
don't-
kid. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know if it's as terrible as people are making it seem. Like, is there entertainment value in it? You know, is it as good as the first Men in Black? No. Like,
No, yeah, it was Will Smith right before he caught on to be like an absolute superstar, you know?
hey, stop.
Actually, sorry, this was after Independence Day and Men in Black, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he was doing a lot of movies. I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't watched Wild Wild West as an adult, so maybe I need to revisit it.
Hollywood
But I
needs to,
remember enjoying it.
It's a blast.
Hollywood needs to chill in regards to pausing all these Will Smith projects. That's all I'll say.
Let's
Like,
not
come
get
on.
into that.
Let's-
Let's talk about someone who deserves to be celebrated today.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. So we are going to talk about Bruce Willis. I think he should be joining us any minute now. So
Yes.
let's keep an eye out for that. Last week we left him hanging for like 25 minutes. So
That was
I
my
guess-
fault. That was my
Yeah,
fault.
I mean, we're paying attention to the show, right? So we
Yeah.
got stuff to focus on. But Jake, before we get to that, do you want to tell them about our other shows that we got going on?
Yeah, so because TV's been kind of ramping up here, we have two other shows that happened each week on top of Apocaflix now. And on Wednesdays, with MoonKnight happening on Tuesday nights at midnight and releasing on Wednesdays, technically, we do our little show here called Marvel Rewind. That is essentially us reviewing all of the Marvel Disney Plus shows. All of our previous reviews for, Hawkeye, WandaVision, Falcon, Winter Soldier, Loki, they are all up on the channel. What If? Those are the ones that are up on the channel. You can go check those out. Any reviews of those? And our Moon Knight one kicked off last week. It was an absolute blast of a discussion. Had such a great time discussing Moon Knight with the fellas. And it happens at 6:30 p.m. Pacific on Wednesdays. That is the best time for us to do it together. And you'll see a group of us reviewing the second episode tomorrow evening. And then flipping to Thursday, we also do, or not we, but Gio, he heads our Halo reviews. He does Halo reviews with Mr. Sean Wingblade from the Flick and Reel channel. Two avid Halo gamers from years past, reviewing everything that is the Halo universe. Those two reviews for the first two episodes are up on the channel. That is at Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Again, that is the best time for them. And you might see one of us pop in for an episode here and there. But Sean and Gio are the two that you will see there each and every week discussing Halo, as they are the Halo guys. So yeah, we have TV reviews here, not just movie stuff. We love talking about everything that's kind of like a larger universe. And so Moon Knight on Wednesdays, Halo on Thursdays, and then eventually you'll see that transition to the Mandalorian coming back and doing Obi-Wan Kenobi reviews. So we'll talk about that though in May.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jake. All right, so Bruce Willis. There's no easy way to talk about this.
Not at all, man.
He's been diagnosed with aphasia, which look, no medical expert, so I'm going to keep it simple. It affects your cognitive abilities, and basically it affects his ability to speak and understand language, basically. And I don't know all the details about that, but even just as a regular human being, that is tragic. For an actor who that's where you make your bread and butter is, speaking dialogue, all that stuff. Unfortunately, he's been diagnosed with aphasia and he's going to be stepping away from acting. I'm sure everybody knows that, but just wanted to clarify that for anybody who doesn't know. We here at Apocaflix Movies wanted to celebrate the career of Bruce Willis. Like, we don't know, hypothetically, maybe he can get better and be back in movies someday. But as of now, we don't know if that's going to be the case. So we do want to celebrate Bruce Willis, talk about some of our favorite movies, some of our favorite moments, and just his career in general. But also, like, I don't know about you guys, but growing up, like, we're all around the same age. We grew up in an era, like, when we when we were kids, young teenagers, it was all about the movie star. The movie star was the draw. Like, nowadays, it's more about the IP, the concept, the director.
Yep.
Back when we were growing up, it was about the movie star. And there were some big names. Like, Will Smith was big when we were growing up. Obviously, still is. You know, we had our Brad Pitts, but I don't know if there was a bigger name than Bruce Willis growing up. You just knew he was the man.
Yeah.
And the thing about Bruce Willis is he did so many different movies. So his career is so diverse, like, from family films to comedies to dramas to Die Hard. You know, he's done so many different things that, like, everybody could enjoy him. Even if you're not old enough to watch Die Hard, you could still watch some of his family-friendly movies. Like, and not every actor does that. So, yeah, we want to talk about Bruce Willis. And Jake, I'll go to you first, man. I know you're a big Bruce Willis fan. So was there any movies or anything specific you wanted to bring up regarding Bruce Willis?
I mean, the obvious one is the Die Hard franchise. It's something that I hold very near and dear to my heart. Die Hard is, in my opinion, the greatest action film ever made. It's the greatest Christmas movie ever made. John McClane is one of the greatest characters ever created. I personally believe that all the first four are really good. I'm actually a big Live Free or Die Hard fan. I really am.
Yes.
Is that the third one or the second one?
It's the fourth one.
Oh, okay.
So it's Die Hard, Die Hard 2. They almost called it Die Harder, but it's really Die Hard 2. Then Die Hard with a Vengeance, then Live Free or Die Hard, then A Good Day to Die Hard. And I don't know if is there one more after that? I think there might be one more after
There was talks of one more. Remember, it was called McClane.
That's right.
But they never did it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the fourth one, and just the franchise in general, keeping it as the original trilogy. I mean, it's hard to put up an action franchise up against it in those three films. You know, all three are top-notch action movies that have great stories, very compelling. The lead, obviously, being Bruce Willis as John McClane. You cannot get much better than that. But keeping that aside and not really talking about the popular stuff, his resume is absolutely ridiculous. And Jacob, you mentioned it, but he kind of touches on so many different genres through a lot of films. Like, obviously, he did Die Hard. The Fifth Element, he touched on the sci-fi version of film.
Yeah.
I know someone had mentioned in the chat, The Last Boy Scout, kind of like a football comedy, buddy cops type of film. I mean, does anybody remember The Kid?
Yeah, I do.
The movie The Kid.
Mm-hmm. See, I think that was a Disney movie, right?
A family film. Then you have Sixth Sense, obviously, which Jacob, I'm sure you're going to talk about.
Yeah.
And we're going to get to all these movies because Keith's going to bring up some as well because he grew up a little earlier than we did. So he really got to experience like the Bruce Willis time, right? The one movie that I wanted to bring up, and again, there's a lot of them, but there's an action film that came out in 2003 from Antoine Fuqua called Tears of the Sun.
I've never seen it.
I remember exactly where I was seeing this movie. I was with my dad. And that's how I watched most of my films growing up. We always used to go on Sunday afternoons. That was our thing. And you know, him being a big movie guy growing up in a Bruce Willis day and age, Tears of the Sun, it does not get enough credit for an action film and just like a story in general. What those characters kind of had to go through and what it touched on, and these mercenaries and soldiers being sent in the jungle to rescue, you know, people that should not be there and that are in danger. The film was fantastic in my opinion, and I really, really, really dig the film. And a lot of people may not, find it. So you may think it's a really bad movie, but I really, really do like Tears of the Sun. It's something I really want to revisit. So that's the one movie that I wanted to bring up. I did want to touch on a comment real quick from Gordon. Gordon brought this up, The Jackal. And because of Bruce Willis, the Bruce Willis news, I've been going back and watching Bruce Willis films. I'm currently in the middle of watching 12 Monkeys, which Samir mentioned, but I watched The Jackal yesterday for the first time. I actually really dug it. He plays the bad guy, which I've never seen before.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
He plays the villain of the movie, and he's a brutal, violent villain, like big time. It's on Prime Video. If you're interested in it, it's actually a really, really cool little movie where he essentially plays like a mercenary spy, not triple agent, but like the super secret agent who nobody knows his real name, and he's known by the Jackal. And it's a pretty fun little movie, but the one I'd bring up is Tears of the Sun, just to start the conversation off. And there's so many more obviously to go through, and it's going to be a bummer to not have him around anymore. I know a lot of people over the last couple of years have kind of been giving him flack for the type of films he's been doing and how many films he's been doing. But quite honestly, we have to look at it a little differently now, because he may have felt something coming on and he wanted to do as many as he possibly could before he stopped acting. Make sure his family was taken care of by taking these roles where it's a super small budget, but he's getting paid a good amount of money to shoot for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then he sets his family up, and now unfortunately we won't be getting Bruce Willis films anymore, which is kind of a bummer. So yeah,
it makes me feel bad for skipping over all those straight to Redbox movies.
There's
but like
so many,
and now it honestly makes me respect him even more, because if he's doing that to leave more money for his family, like that's doing it for the right reason. He doesn't need more money personally. Like he's not doing it for selfish reasons. If it's to provide more for his family, then that's great for him. Gio, I know you're a big Bruce Willis fan as well. Any thoughts on this news and how it affected you? And what are some movies you want to bring up?
Yeah, when I heard about it, like you guys, I was shocked as well. But I was also deeply I felt regretful, because I was one of those people who was, and I'll admit this, I was one of those people who was pretty critical of Bruce Willis and the kind of projects he was choosing. And it was only because I wanted to see a Bruce Willis comeback. And I thought his unexpected and memorable cameo at the end of Split was leading toward that, and his collaboration with M. Night on Glass.
Did he have a cameo in that? I don't remember.
Post-credit scene
at the end.
Was he in the post-credit scene? Or I thought the music.
Yeah, in the diner, he goes. The waitress is like, this reminds me of the guy in the wheelchair 15 years ago, and they gave him a funny name too. What
I don't
was
remember
it?
that for some reason. I remember the music playing, but I don't remember him. Interesting.
Yeah, it's at the bar, and post-credit scene. Yeah.
Sorry, that was a terrible. But you know what?
You're fine.
I don't know. I'm sure there are a lot of film fans out there who have said some things, who wish they could take it back and whatnot. But all we can do at this point is look at things within the context and just appreciate and celebrate his contributions to Hollywood and what impact he has had on our lives. We look at movies, we look at these actors through their work, through their art, and what kind of entertainment and emotions they provide to us during our free time when we're not working, or we're not out there on our purpose or grinding or whatnot. And Bruce Willis is definitely somebody who, until you actually sit down and think about it, take a step back and just realize just how much he is a part of our lives.
Yeah.
And Jake, you mentioned Tears of the Sun. I've only seen that. My first time viewing that was on DVD. They rented the movie, and They being, my aunts, and we watched that, and I remember being so uncomfortable with that movie, watching it.
It's a hard watch.
Yeah, 13 years old, and just the one scene in that movie that sticks out always every time I think about that movie is when the priest is begging, like, don't do violence in the house of God, and it goes on, and I won't spoil it. Check it out, Tears of the Sun. But I mean, just I'll go ahead and talk about Die Hard, and we'll talk about so many of his movies, but like there's a documentary on Netflix called The Movies That We Love. One of the episodes focuses on Die Hard and how Fox, 20th Century Fox, who is now just, what's it called
Third
now?
call this Century Studios.
Yeah. They had no faith in this project, especially with somebody like Bruce Willis attached. But John McTiernan, who deserves a comeback in Hollywood, by the way, had all the faith in Bruce Willis to deliver. An unknown, relatively unknown. We're talking about Bruce Willis in the shadow of a Stallone and a Schwarzenegger, the macho era of action films. And Bruce Willis as John McClane kind of redefined that role. And the rest is history with Die Hard, John McClane, Bruce Willis, and whatnot. And it's just, the character that he brought to the big screen with McClane was somebody who was relatable. Just your everyday average cop caught up in some ridiculous plot, like the hostage situation at Nakatomi Plaza and whatnot.
It's so good.
And his relationship with the cop, who I only know from Family Matters.
And limo driver. And the limo driver.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Come on. Cannot forget him, Gio.
Thank you. Thank you, Jake. That's why you're here, and that's why we're all here. We love this. But yeah, Die Hard. And
I'm going to go watch Die Hard tonight, damn it. I'm doing it.
Die Hard 2. And I for me, it's Die Hard, and then With a Vengeance, and then 4, and then 2. I know we're not ranking, but like I love 4. And putting John McClane into a modern world with technology, and him going back to the old school cop, and like, you ain't just about to like take over the city with all your technology and your hacking and whatnot. And it's just, like Die Hard, Bruce Willis. We can talk about all sorts of stuff, but
I'm sure it'll get brought back up. I'm sure it'll get brought back up for sure.
Yeah.
Real quick, before we bring Keith in, I want to bring up a comment here. This was put in a little while ago, probably because he might have had to bounce out. But Mr. PJ dropped this comment in about Bruce. The Willis news broke my heart. I've been hearing the stories for a while, as far back as Glass. So I knew it was only a matter of time before the news really broke, but still just heartbreaking. Yeah, man, it's a bummer, because like Gio said, he's been in our life for so long, and he's done so many films and so many great films. Like, I see everyone in the chat. I'm going to make sure I highlight all of your guys' comments. So please let us know about your favorite movies, maybe your favorite roles. I'm going to bring them up. But he's done so many movies that, connect with so many people, even like small cameos. He had a cameo in Ocean's 12.
Yeah.
Like he's had cameos in movies that he just likes to pop into because he likes being an actor and supporting films and being there for people who watch them, which is a really, really big deal. So, but before we continue this on, let's go and bring our fourth member of tonight.
Absolutely, yeah.
Mr. Who definitely has the best experience of all the Bruce Willis stuff more than any of us here, and that is Mr. Keith Barnes.
Keith, how you doing, man?
What's up, guys? What's going on?
What's up, buddy?
We made it. Made it to another Tuesday. What's happening?
You made it 25 minutes early.
Am I that early? I didn't know. I didn't realize.
Well, we didn't forget you this time.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
True.
Yeah.
Sure. I was having camera issues. So I've been struggling with my camera for like the last 15 minutes. I finally got it to pop in. So.
Oh, well, I'm just glad you have, great connection or a great device to give you that great connection.
Yes.
Hey, real quick, while we're on the topic of Die Hard, Keith, I don't know if you were old enough at the time, Bruce Willis, Die Hard coming out maybe a few years or a year after, like, was there a moment you remember or like hype or reaction in regards to Bruce Willis, like late 80s, early 90s? Because we were all babies at the time.
I wasn't even born when it came out.
You guys, I was gonna say.
Neither.
I was
Well,
just
yeah,
wondering-
no,
Jake,
I
you
meant
beat me
like
to
late
it. That's just what-
early 90s we were babies, yeah, but
Sure.
yeah.
Sure. No, well, look, I was a kid. I was probably, Die Hard. I only remember Die Hard from HBO, so I don't.
What
really
year did
remember.
Die Hard come out?
Oh, was it 87, 88, 88 maybe?
Oh, 88 and 89, isn't it?
I think it was
No, I wasn't
89.
89.
Let me check. Hold on, let me.
You know what's so funny? It doesn't feel
88,
dated.
88.
I feel like
We're
it was.
dumb.
It was 88. Okay.
We run a
88,
movie
Gridiron
podcast.
Gang.
We're dumb.
88.
So I was 9 years old. So,
You can't tell me you try to sneak your little ass in there, though, Keith.
oh no, I definitely watched it. I definitely watched it. Well, this is at a time, right? I think the first the first R-rated movie I saw watched with my dad was Aliens the year before.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And so that was in that era: Aliens, Predator, RoboCop, all that stuff. So I was watching that stuff as a kid. But I remembered him from the show Moonlighting, which a lot of people have mentioned.
The comments, which I had never heard about that.
I was
My
going to
mom
ask about
loved
that
that
because
show.
a lot of people bring it up, and I thought it was a movie at first, but it's a show.
It was a
And I
TV
was
show.
like,
So he
'cause I
came
wanna
from
watch it.
Moonlighting, and then he did Die Hard, which
Yes.
and
so that's how-
Samir said this, that everyone doubted Bruce can play a movie hero
Yes.
because he was coming off of a TV
TV show.
Wow. Okay.
And it was like a romantic. It was him and Sybil Shepherd, and it was like a romantic comedy. I think he was like a detective or maybe a private detective.
Yeah, I was reading about it.
Show.
Like, yeah, she had a detective agency or something, and
Yeah, I
he
don't really.
convinced her to keep it open. But
Huh.
Yeah.
and I heard they had like a lot
Sounds
of
like Jessica
sexual
Jones.
tension and stuff. Yeah,
Well, yeah, it was kind of like it was. If you can imagine, if they had gone with Jessica Jones and Luke Cage, like doing adventures and stuff.
Sounds like Jessica Jones.
that's what it would have been.
basically, yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I know. My mom loved that show. I love that show. It was a great theme song by I think maybe.
I mean, come on, 80s TV shows had the best theme songs.
Right? No, 100%.
I miss theme songs. To be honest,
Me too.
But I remember seeing Die Hard or seeing ads for it and be like, "Oh, that's the guy from Moonlighting."
That's
So,
funny. And then now look at him. He's the greatest action hero that ever was made.
I mean, between him, Arnold, Sly, it's those three guys playing Hollywood.
That, oh my
Oh,
God,
sure.
that is like a tier ranking or bracket ranking waiting to be made.
action
Let's
hero.
do it.
Oh my
That's a good one.
God.
Jason Statham, baby.
Put a pin in that. Let's do it. That's a good one.
No, we
Mel
can do
Gibson,
no,
Mel
no,
Gibson,
no,
come on.
no, no. Bruce Willis, Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Tom Cruise.
Damn.
Yeah,
Bro.
Yeah,
One of them is still doing it too.
sure.
Sylvester Stallone, baby.
And would you Statham, The Rock? I think those
I mean,
two
as
guys.
far
I
as
guess it's more
resumes go, those four have the biggest resumes.
I don't
Sure.
know about the
Oh,
Rock.
no, sorry. Forget Tom Cruise, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
there we go.
Yeah, sure. I mean,
Might
Come
as well
on,
throw
Keith.
Steven Seagal in there.
see, that's what I'm saying. I'll take Van Damme over Seagal, but but yeah, man, but Die Hard was like, I remember, I understood obviously more. I appreciated it more as I got older.
I heard people didn't take
but it
it
was-
seriously at first,
which is
I don't know
bizarre
if that's true.
because if you
Yeah.
watch it now, it's really good. It's a very
Yeah,
it's not just saying it because action. No, it's actually very good. The story setup is beautiful. The way the story is set up, and it's the way it's paced. I mean, it's. I tell you guys, anytime you guys for our challenge or whatever, you guys watch an older movie that you haven't seen. I remember Jake mentioning it when he saw When Harry Met Sally, where he's like, "Well, like you didn't kind of know what to expect, but you watch it, and it was stuff that you say, I've seen this stuff before," and you made a point to mention, but that movie When Harry Met Sally was like the blueprint, right? That was the one.
Everybody's trying to make the Die Hard,
Yes, 100%.
aka The Rock's skyscraper.
You can make the case for Lethal Weapon. And Lethal Weapon kind of
Yeah,
Passenger
but they're very
47
different
Keith.
because Die
They
Hard
are.
is 1 and Lethal
Right.
Weapon is 2.
right. The buddy cop kind of
Yes,
thing. So,
yes, they are very different.
yes. Yeah. Well,
So just real quick, while Keith's talking about that, so to hold like everyone talking about like how Die Hard maybe was received as kind of like a jokey thing, it's an 8.3 on IMDb. It's a 94% on Rotten Tomatoes. On Google, it's 91%, and TV Guide, it's a 72%.
Hell yeah.
Okay,
Well,
TV Guide.
Like those other things weren't around when it.
That's
came
just
out.
that came up when I Googled Die Hard. That's the ratings. Those are the ratings that came up because it's an older film. But a 94% of Rotten Tomatoes speaks for itself. It's not just the greatest
TV
action
Guide?
movie.
Like is that TV Guide? TV Guide?
Yeah, TV Guide,
Yeah.
TV Guide.
Like the channel or
Wow.
like the pamphlet.
Those are like
Yeah,
when you Google it, those are just the ones that pop up. So
Okay.
Keith, what was the name of the cop that he was talking to in Die Hard? What was his name? The actor's name?
The actor? Reginald Vell Johnson.
Huh?
Reginald Vell Johnson.
can you name the character? Because I have the
From
character in front of me.
Family Matters. Oh,
Yeah.
I have the character name in front of me. Can you name the character?
Come on, Keith.
Or
What's
at
the
least the
character's
name.
name?
Last name.
Officer.
I don't
No,
remember.
Sergeant. He's a sergeant.
Sorry, Sergeant.
Sergeant Powell.
Powell. Oh, yeah. Who was his limo driver? Remember his limo driver?
We were talking about that. I'm trying to find him right now. Hold on.
He was in the commercial, that Die Hard commercial with him.
Come on, Jacob. What was the name of the driver?
I don't know, but I will
Argyle.
Argyle.
say,
Yeah.
as somebody
Argyle.
who watched Die Hard recently, like recent, like 5 years ago, whenever Jake challenged me to it, that relationship with the cop and the back and forth, and
So good.
that makes the movie like so much deeper than it originally is. You know,
Well,
like
and-
without
and-
that, like
and
that's
when
my
they get
favorite part of
to-
the movie.
And when they get to embrace each other for the first time at the end of the
Exactly.
film, and then the cop goes, "Boom!"
They develop a relationship
And shoots
just
Thor?
talking over walkie-talkie. And it's
Well, yeah,
just
because
so
he
cool.
had that thing about he accidentally killed a kid or something like
He,
that.
ki-
the
he
kid,
accidentally killed
yeah.
a little boy.
Yeah.
He can't fire his gun anymore.
Right,
And then at the end, he saves him by firing his gun.
right. Because the classic action movie trope where one of the villains comes back.
Yeah, Thor.
Oh,
Thor.
yeah, yeah,
Thor
Thor,
rose from
Thor,
the dead.
Yeah. Oh man, this is sad news. I was same thing as with PJ that made that comment. I'd heard about this before, that he had something, just like through other shows or other people kind of talking about, because he's been doing it. Yeah, that's definitely. Samir, even though you got your Dallas Cowboys star, but he's been doing these weird movies for a few years now. Just a bunch of. I wonder if now it's just because maybe he knew he was going to have to shut it down soon.
Well, so not to cut you off again, Keith, but I've been wanting to bring this up. So these are the most recent projects that he's done. So
it's some weird stuff.
He has one coming out, or maybe it just came out. It's called A Day to Die, and it got 4.6 on IMDb. Then he has Gasoline Alley, which got a 3.6 on IMDb. American Siege 3.4, Fortress 3.5, Deadlock 3.4, Apex 3.0. You get the point, right? Like, he hasn't done the last like well-known film that he was in was Motherless Brooklyn, which was the film that Edward Norton directed.
Directly, yeah, right.
And then before that was Glass.
Yeah.
He voiced himself in the Lego Movie Part 2. But the last two films that he has done outside of the straight to video were Motherless Brooklyn, and that was in 2019. So it's been a while.
Hear the stories about a couple of the directors that he worked with recently that they started to notice this, like when they agreed to do the movie, they didn't know.
Right.
And then they started working with him and they were like, what's going on? Like, why did this even happen? Why are we even making this movie?
Yeah.
And just because it's like, that's not fair. You shouldn't have Bruce Willis do this movie if that's what he's struggling with.
Yeah.
And to me, it kind of makes sense why he was doing all these movies. Cause like, I'm sure higher profile projects, they kind of probably knew about this.
Yeah. He probably just couldn't do those.
And that's not our fault for not knowing that. Like, we didn't know. So we're just like, why is Bruce Willis doing all these weird straight to Redbox movies? And now it kind of all makes sense.
Well, it's like
to me. Yeah.
Chadwick Boseman, same kind of similar-ish situation.
That's true. Yeah.
He's doing all the stuff nobody knows at all, but he's good because he's aside obviously all the big stuff he's done, but there's some smaller stuff. I just noticed one last night. I didn't catch the name of it that he'd done. Some small small project. I have no idea what it was. But Chadwick Boseman. I didn't see what year it was, but yeah, same thing. I think he just tried to get in as much as he could. It's a testament to him, obviously having cancer and doing all the crazy action stuff he was doing. But I was hearing that Bruce Willis, like he couldn't hear out of one of his.
There were rumors about
yeah,
his well-being,
right?
And it just goes back to what's commonly said is that you just be kind to people because you never know what they might be going
through. Yeah,
and
absolutely.
It's something that I'm still working with. As critical as I am of things that I love, and that we're all protective of things that we enjoy and whatnot. It's just we never know.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, that's
all right, Keith. It's been long enough. We got to talk about Pulp Fiction because Pulp Fiction. When I think of Bruce Willis, look, I love me some Unbreakable, but when I think of Bruce Willis, I think of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
As weird as it sounds, I grew up watching Tarantino movies, and Pulp Fiction.
No wonder you're so effed up. No, I'm just joking.
Exactly. That's absolutely correct. But Pulp Fiction, like I seriously remember sitting by myself in my living room as a kid watching Pulp Fiction. Like my parents just left it on, and I'm like,
what kind of household did you grow up in?
Just like watch. All right, I guess I'm watching Pulp Fiction, and like all the stuff that happens in that movie with the Bruce Willis character is just crazy.
Well, as a kid, what did you think of that? What did you?
I was just like. And there's a specific movies I remember watching like as a kid growing up, and that's one of them. And I was just like, well, a lot of it is my first time ever hearing about some of the stuff that was happening, or even learning about certain things that were happening in the movie. And I didn't even know those things existed until I saw them in that movie. But I was just like, whoa, this is crazy, basically. Like, yeah. But I know you love Pulp Fiction, Keith.
Yes, yes, I do.
And look, we all think of John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson, rightfully so, when we think of that movie. But we can't forget about the Bruce Willis character, and that's one of my highlights is Pulp Fiction.
Butch. I don't remember his last name, but
Coolidge.
Butch Coolidge. There you go. Yeah, right. Good job. Yeah.
It's my number one Tarantino movie.
Is it? Oh,
really?
Okay. Pulp Fiction? Yeah.
By a mile.
Right.
Not even close to being the best.
It's all subjective,
guy.
Yeah, so you can make
it is
definitely not a subjective. Gio, you're wrong.
No, there's like 3 or 4.
What's yours, Jake? I mean, we're talking about Tarantino, but now I got to know.
Inglourious Bastards.
Oh yeah, me too.
Hey, I love Inglourious. That's like 2 or 3.
That's by 50 miles. Sorry.
Okay.
That's a conversation for another day. Bruce Willis, everybody.
Yeah, we'll save that. But Kill Bill.
That's a bracket waiting to happen.
Kill Bill.
Hey, he was in what's it called? What's that movie he did with Robert Rodriguez? And there's 2 of them. It's like
Planet Terror.
So Bruce Willis is in that too. So
Planet Terror.
That's right.
I haven't seen
He's in Planet Terror, baby.
I've seen that too. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm tripping. Jackie Brown. What am I doing? Jackie Brown.
Oh, Jack.
I only had time to watch one Bruce Willis movie last night, and the one I watched was The Last Boy Scout. I had to watch.
I've never seen The Last.
Love The Last Boy Scout.
Hey.
Oh, really, Jake? Listen, get on it.
Yep.
ASAP. Yeah.
Go ahead, Keith.
Well, I'm in the middle of watching 12 Monkeys right now.
I have no memory of. Is it time travel? I think is there something kind of weird?
Yeah, major, and Brad Pitt's in it, so why not?
Yeah.
With Last Boy Scout, it's his on-screen chemistry with Damon Wayans. The 2 of them.
Dude, that opening scene is crazy. But Tony Scott directed that as well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Jake, you gotta get on that next. I mean, Pulp Fiction is like you said, Travolta, Sam Jackson, like those are the 2, and all their dialogue. That's the standout stuff. Bruce Willis, right after that, like that story is the craziest one.
Obviously, don't forget about Uma Thurman too.
And Uma for sure,
Obviously,
absolutely.
yeah.
Oh, maybe her story might be the craziest actually.
Yeah.
Between those 2, it's nuts. But what he does, I love Bruce Willis in this movie because just to jump ahead to the crazy stuff. I mean, he goes back to his apartment, sees what's going on there. He shoots Travolta, hits
spoiler.
Hey, spoiling this
I got
nearly
a phone.
30-year-old
What is it? 25 years old or something? 28 years old?
No,
1994.
35 years old.
20. Who's 90? 94?
What?
Jake, was you born 94?
Can you tell me what year Pulp Fiction came out?
94.
94.
Shut up,
Yes.
Keith.
Come on.
Not
that one,
35 years old.
I was 2, baby.
I was gonna say it's the same age as you.
I was a baby.
And Jacob was watching it. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
I don't
watching it in diapers. What the F?
I don't know why. Yeah.
But I love he's got my favorite arc in the movie because you see what he's having that fight in that pawn shop. It's terrible. I'm not gonna get into it, but he has a chance to get away, and he goes back. He didn't have to go back. This man, Ving Rhames, is trying to kill him, and he turns and goes back to save the guy that was trying to kill him.
It's Marcellus Wallace.
Marcellus Wallace. It's the most heroic. It's one of the most heroic things in any movie I've seen. It's amazing, and I love the weapons he's choosing.
Yeah,
you look at it; they're all Grand Theft Auto. Yes, they're all Grand Theft Auto weapons. He gets a hammer, and then he gets he gets a chainsaw, and then he picks up a bat. And then he gets the sword, and he goes with the sword, and he goes down there, and obviously still see what is happening. Unfortunately, to Ving Rhames down there, but
yeah.
It's the most heroic part of that movie. I love his story. I love his arc in that movie. It's so good.
Step aside, Butch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one, I've only ever seen Pulp Fiction once.
Oh wow. Okay.
2, I'm gonna bring up a bunch of comments from our viewers here because I did ask everybody to put their favorite
let's do it
movie in the chat. So Andy said it's basic, but Pulp Fiction, rightfully so. Curtis, Zed's Dead Baby. Does anybody know what Zed's Dead Baby is?
Zed's Dead, baby.
That's
Zed's dead.
Pulp Fiction. Yeah.
That's his last line in that movie.
I thought it said Zod.
Jesus.
Samir
said underrated performance in Sixth Sense.
Absolutely.
Yep. It's a good one.
John, here's his 3: Die Hard, Pulp Fiction, and Sin City, which we have not talked about yet.
Love Sin City.
And then Gordon says Kill Bill. Stardew says 12 Monkey and Looper. Oh, Looper is so
Looper.
good.
Looper's awesome.
Oh man, I forgot about Looper. Yeah.
We'll get to Looper. Can we real quickly touch on his collaborations with M. Night?
Let me get these comments and we'll get to that.
Go ahead.
John Boo says Moonrise Kingdom. Stardew again, Fifth Element and Die Hard franchise, and Mercury Rising, which John Booz also says Mercury Rising is probably the favorite. Such a solid 80s film. And Samir, I'm with you, but Armageddon, my man.
I like
Armageddon is gold.
Armageddon.
Gold.
I don't care what anybody says, man.
Love it. And then, Tim Franco stops by. Here we go. Not my fave, but I think he's great in Death Becomes Her, dark comedy.
I forgot about that movie.
And then Nussbaum here, stepping in finally. Pulp Fiction, Over the Hedge, 12 Monkeys, Look Who's Talking.
Oh, Over the Hedge, that's right.
Look Who's Talking. Yeah. Didn't he voice the dog or something? Or
he did
the
voice,
baby?
Yeah. Baby.
Oh, that's right.
Baby.
That's
right.
It was. Yeah.
Which also, and John Travolta is also in that.
Jesus.
Ali Christie.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick. I liked him as the original Joe.
He had the best part of that movie. I didn't like that.
That was a fun role for him.
Yeah. He was the best part of that movie.
Is that the one where Channing Tatum dies right at the beginning?
Oh my god!
Stupidest move. You're gonna kill Duke. You're gonna kill Duke.
When him and Dwayne The Rock Johnson had such good chemistry at the beginning of the movie, but
you morons! Like why?
My condolences to that
idiots.
franchise. Because
I know, right? They could have. Yeah, that was man.
Anyway, Gio. So Bruce Willis and M. Night Shyamalan, go for it.
I mean, I was actually going to refer to Jacob because, like,
Unbreakable, Glass,
Sixth Sense.
Come on, Jacob.
So
with you.
Other than Pulp Fiction, Unbreakable is my favorite Bruce Willis movie. It
might be
Pulp Fiction and Unbreakable. I watched Unbreakable as a kid plenty of times, but like when you're a kid, you don't really understand what's going on. I rewatched it as an adult though, and such a great movie.
So
like it is so, and especially I watched it like after like the MCU had got started and all that stuff, and it was so ahead of its time. It ties into all the comic book stuff and the hero and the villain and another Sam Jackson, Bruce Willis
Glass
movie.
Glass.
And Yeah, I love Unbreakable. It's so underrated, and it's the reason why I'm always rooting for M Night. Look, he's made some terrible movies, but like
Yeah.
I'm always holding out that the next one could be good. And but the last one he did wasn't. What was that one? The one on the beach?
Old Beach.
Is it called
Old,
Old? Wasn't
old.
that good? It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't that good.
Mid-sized
But yes, absolutely Unbreakable. I don't love The Sixth Sense as much as most people, but I obviously
Which I am absolutely shocked about, by the way.
Yeah, I mean,
Really?
it's
Yeah,
That
right.
shocks me.
it's an all-timer horror wise, but it's not one of my favorites necessarily.
Was
Like,
it spoiled for you?
I prefer Unbreakable over.
Did it get spoiled for you before you saw it?
No, because I watched it when I was super young, so I
Yeah.
didn't really like
Okay.
it. I
That's
didn't know
one of
what the
those movies
spoiler
that-
was.
What the
but,
hell were your parents doing letting you watch these movies when you were super young?
Hey,
Like,
Look, I had no I had no like discipline, or what's it called? Nobody was
No.
watching me.
discipline.
It's
Hey,
unsupervised.
some
Jacob
of
was
us
unsupervised
grew up.
at ages.
Basically.
Hey, all you kids out there with your smartphones and TVs, and we grew up with one TV in the house, and we saw whatever they wanted to watch,
Or like
Right.
whatever
We saw a
VHS was
lot
laying
of
around. Yeah.
So, hey, but real quick, like Unbreakable, like M. Night, what he did before the comic book was even a genre in Hollywood, like the origin of a superhero and sort of exploring somebody who's slowly discovering his powers and coming to terms with it and how it affects his family. I think back to that scene where his son, a kid, pointing a gun and ready to shoot his
intense.
father point blank, and it's just like, Bruce Willis as the father, David Dunn, he's like, put that damn gun down, and the kid is like, no, you're a superhero, you're it, I just trust me. And
Yeah.
like the tension, like M. Night was just in his bag in that movie, man. And just like the relationship between David Dunn and Mr. Glass, and
Yeah.
the theme, oh my, it's so incredible.
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of Tarantino, he described that movie best because I think he loves that movie, and he said it's a Superman story. But,
Sure.
but Superman doesn't know that he's Superman, right? So, and like you said, Jake, this movie was ahead of its time, and
Mhm.
if you watch trailers for that, they marketed it like it's like they try to make it look like The Sixth Sense, because The Sixth Sense was such a huge hit, and I remember
Yeah.
this at the time, and so they tried to make it like it was this thriller. This
I remember
horror
that.
thriller,
Like,
and
I
it
don't
wasn't that.
remember the marketing being like the movie at all.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and that's what it suffered from. It's the same thing. It's going. I say this all the time, going back to Tarantino again, but I mean, it's the same thing that happened with Jackie Brown. They try to make Jackie Brown look like it was Pulp Fiction, and it's not. I think people were expecting The Sixth Sense when they go see Unbreakable, and it's a very slow. It's a slow grind, but like I said, it's a superhero origin story, which I think a lot of people they didn't know. Hollywood didn't know what that was at the time. I think this was
Yeah.
pre or maybe right around the time of X-Men. It was 2000, right? I think Unbreakable, maybe 2000.
I believe so. Yeah.
So yeah, so they didn't know what that was like, But I think it's his best movie.
It's
Shyamalan.
it's up there, man. If I could just, real quick, give some love to The Sixth Sense, like
Yeah.
you guys would classify it as a horror movie, right? It's very much a horror movie, in my opinion. I mean, just so many things about that movie creep me out. I mean, think about the girl in the tent throwing up, and what the caretakers do to her, and
It's Misha Barton from the OC.
yeah, all
Yeah.
that crap, and just like
Wow, I forgot that that's her.
he. Would you guys agree that M. Night defined the twist in the movie? Like maybe I'm too young, but like
Well, yeah,
I don't know about defined, but maybe
he
amped him up.
popularized it. Yeah,
Yeah.
he repopularized it. He gave it the definition that it is today with a twist in a movie. And just
Right.
Bruce Willis, like he's a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? He's a little bit reserved, not the John McClane or the whatever, the Last Boy Scout, whatever, up until that point, and it's not until the very end where he's just, you're really discovering all of it through his eyes and his acting and his performance, and just like, oh my god, like I'm dead.
And
Sorry,
Glass, not the movie
Spoiler.
Glass, but Glass in Unbreakable is one of the best villains. Like his story, like
Yeah.
the stuff where he's planning all the disasters and all that, trying to find
Yeah.
the other super powered beings. Like,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah, it's great.
I have just to. Well, first of all, let me just say I had no idea. I just went and saw Glass because people were raving. I saw it late. Like,
Didn't we all? I thought we all went and watched it, or some of us did.
No,
Wait,
I
not Glass.
caught it on
Sorry.
VOD.
Split. Excuse me, not Glass. Split. I went and saw Split late. We all saw Glass together. Yes, we did. That was.
And it was disappointing. Very
yeah.
disappointing.
I didn't hate it, but just it was very good. But Split. Split was
I
awesome.
love Split.
I had no idea that.
Whew.
I had no idea. So I was like, and it was a theater. There was maybe 10 people in that theater when I saw it. I actually jumped out of my seat and went, "What?"
Same. And I remember people sitting in front of me turning around and be like, what are you talking
Yes,
about? I'm like,
same.
you don't know? I remember, like, the night before I saw it, my roommates, my brother and my sister, they were watching Unbreakable, and I'm like, why are you guys watching Unbreakable? I had no fucking clue. They just came back from watching Split.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm like,
Oh,
why you guys
they
watching
didn't tell
Unbreakable?
you?
I had no clue, man.
Yeah.
But
that was
I
the
think-
twist in Split.
Yeah.
Was that it's connected to Unbreakable.
That blew me away. I thought
Hey.
that was one of the best endings I've ever. I was like,
hey,
no,
Jake,
totally changed that
how amazing is Armageddon?
movie.
I think that's like the last. I mean, there's obviously a bunch, but that's like the last major one we kind of need to talk about. Yeah, I mean, it was in the height of Bruce Willis, right? He was kind of the guy, and he plays that type of role. It's not John McClane, but it's very John McClane like. But he has a father in this film, right? To Liv Tyler and Ben Affleck is, with his daughter without him knowing, and they have to go on this supersized mission to space, and that conversation at the end of the film with Liv Tyler over the intercom, and Ben Affleck, where he has to listen, and he's basically saying, "You got to take care of my girl." Like, I'm getting chills right now just fucking.
I don't
talking
even
about,
know
like,
why people consider Armageddon a bad movie.
dude. It is
Michael
so
Bay,
freaking
like,
good.
Listen,
It is
very
so
simple.
freaking good. I don't care if it's the most inaccurate thing on the planet Earth. It is so good. It is
It's
And
just
we
a
acknowledge
movie.
that.
Come
So
on.
we acknowledge
that's what I'm saying.
that.
Exactly. That's what it is. You can exactly. It's because it's a very silly, but
It's a blockbuster.
it's very good. Like yeah, you're right. You acknowledge some of the silly stuff. Once you get past that, it's very good. Like, all the characters, they do a great job of setting up all the characters and making you care about everyone. Like, to the point where, yeah, you're crying at the end.
Incredible ensemble. I mean,
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, we hadn't had an ensemble like that, like during that time in a blockbuster.
fire off. Who's a part of it? It's Michael Clark Duncan, Will Patton,
Clark Duncan, Owen Wilson,
Ben Affleck,
Billy
Ben
Bob
Affleck.
Thornton, Liv
Billy
Tyler,
Bob.
Steve
Steve
Buscemi,
David.
William
Steve Buscemi.
Fitchner, Michael or Peter Stormare,
Yes, right. Peter Stormare,
Keith
the rest of
David,
Yeah.
Chris Ellis, Jason Isaacs.
Oh, Jason Isaacs. That's right.
Like,
Oh,
He's the one
Jason
who
Isaacs. He's that English
explained-
scientist who got that's
He's
right.
the smartest man on the planet. You might want
Yeah.
to listen to him.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Wow, really?
Oh man.
Oh,
No,
wow,
but
yeah.
like, if I could say, like, Bruce Willis was perfectly cast for that role because he plays the blue collar workers so well, and just like you partially believe it, like you suspend disbelief because it's Bruce Willis and what he brings.
Oh yeah,
to
Aerosmith.
the movie, and yeah,
There you go.
Aerosmith.
That
I mean,
song, man, is
ah.
classic.
I don't want to close my.
Love it.
Michael,
terrible.
just on a side note, Michael Bay will never have a 3-film run like he did during this time.
What was the three
1995,
films?
Bad Boys. 1996, The Rocks. 1998, Armageddon.
Yep.
What was his next movie after that? What was it?
2001, Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor,
Okay,
I like
But-
Pearl
but-
Harbor.
which he tried to make Armageddon, and it's
But then he came back and he did 2003, Bad Boys 2, 2005, The Island, which is highly underrated.
I
Yeah.
like the
And then
island.
2007, Transformers Key.
Get
The
out of here,
Island.
Pete.
yeah.
Let's get
Although
it.
I will say real quick, I will say
Scarlett Johansson, you McGregor, come on.
Come on.
Terrible.
I-
He was wrong.
So
this will probably be
good.
the only time I get to say it. Like, well, if we talk about ambulance later this month, but the last hour of Pearl Harbor, I don't care what you
Fantastic.
say.
Fantastic. I agree.
That-
Look,
it's fantastic.
I
The
like
fighting's-
Pearl Harbor. I'll
Jacob, I'm
argue
with
it to
you.
the death.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Jacob.
Josh
I'm with you.
Hartnett. Come on
I'm with
now.
Hartnett, yeah.
Is it Kate Beckinsale?
Yeah.
Hey, oh, dude.
How could
dude.
you not be in love with Kate Beckinsale
Stop.
in that movie? Come on.
Yeah.
now. I want to do one quick movie that nobody
Sure.
else will care about, but
Sure.
Alpha Dog. Look, he plays
He's in that?
Emil Hirsch's dad in Alpha
Oh my
Dog.
Really?
god.
And
Oh,
I
wow.
love Alpha Dog because I
Wait,
just
didn't I challenge that to you?
not to me. You challenged Brian because Brian hadn't seen it. Yeah, and I
forgot
grew
he was
up.
an Alpha
or I lived
Dog.
in Palm Springs, like up until I was in high school, and
That
that's where all
film
that
is
stuff happens.
Hard.
And it's based, isn't it? I thought it was based on true events, wasn't it?
It is based on true events.
Yeah, and dude, what
They're real characters. Justin Timberlake plays a real character.
Yeah, so
Holy shit.
Anton Yelchin. So that was my first experience to Anton Yelchin, which is
Right.
great in the movie. And what happens to his character is crazy in that movie.
The ending of that film is incredibly
And
hard.
I just
Spoiler, I need to
look,
watch it.
Bruce Willis doesn't have a huge role in the movie, but he has an effective role. He plays Emil Hirsch's dad, who's Emil Hirsch's character is an a-hole in this movie. And he plays his dad, which like Bruce Willis is very like he's good in that role. Like you got to see it.
That is a movie that I would, if nobody has seen, I would absolutely challenge everyone to watch. That movie is a movie right there.
Would you say, Jake, that
film.
movie's kind of scary in a way because it's like, oh my, this really happened. So like, I never want to be involved in that situation.
100%.
It's kind of scary, to be honest.
For adolescents who maybe don't have a great, parental guidance at home, if you watch it, it could freak you the hell out. It could freak you the hell out. And like that, there's what's crazy is stuff happens like that every single day. That's what's terrifying about it.
Yeah, it was the first movie I ever saw Amanda Seyfried in too.
Yeah, she plays the girlfriend.
Yep.
No way.
Yeah, the girl. Yeah, it's
gotta watch
2006. Geo is when it came out.
I remember watching that.
Yeah.
I remember renting it from Blockbuster when Blockbuster was still alive, and watching it. I remember watching it. It's just
it's such a small budget movie, so that's why I'm surprised that Bruce Willis is in it.
I have it.
Back then, it was cool that he agreed to be in that.
Jacob, had you not seen Mean Girls before that?
Oh, I mean, yeah, but it was still. I feel like Mean Girls was still high profile, but
Thank you. Oh man. Okay. Sorry.
Hold on, wait.
Oh, I was
Let's
gonna say
rapid fire.
best Justin Timberlake performance ever in Alpha Dog. By the way,
Oh wow. Okay.
would you agree, Jake? Best movie performance?
I don't know, man. He's had some really good ones.
I thought
What
he
do
was
you like?
great in
Yeah.
the Social Network.
No. I'm saying he's great. He's great in the film, but
I think that's
had
my
some-
favorite role by.
He's had some really,
JT.
really good performances.
Yeah.
Can we? I know we're getting close on time. Can we rapid fire through some that we? I mean,
Well,
John
Keith was going to
Booth
mention
mentioned-
something. What were we going to mention, Keith?
John Booth, literally.
Yep,
I was
right there.
seconds
Oh,
away.
the whole
from
9
bringing this up.
yards.
The whole
Yep.
9 yards.
Oh, I forgot about this movie.
One of my favorite comedies of all time. Him, Matthew Perry, Lake Bell, Michael Clark Duncan as well. This is legit one of my favorite movies. It's so funny. He plays a hitman who moves in next door to Matthew Perry and his wife, played by Arquette.
Patricia.
No, I think it's Rosanna. I think it's Rosanna. It's one of them. You might be right. I don't know, but
Hold on.
I think it's Rosanna.
Hold on.
I need to know this.
Rosanna. I'm sorry, Rosanna.
Is it Rosanna? Okay.
You're right. You're right.
Uh,
Stand corrected. Oh, Kevin Pollak. That's right.
Kevin Pollak
Fuck,
is the
yeah.
mob boss that he used to work
Yeah.
for. Yeah, it's so funny. It's such a good movie.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have a really quick story. It's my favorite story
Go ahead.
that I heard about Bruce Willis because people, called him difficult. I was watching the behind the scenes because I have the DVD of this movie because I love it. Michael Clark Duncan was telling a story about how on set, they're shooting the movie and he never spoke to Bruce Willis at all. He just didn't talk to him. So one day Bruce came up to him and was like, "Hey man, what's up?" And I think this was, it was after, I don't know, it was before or after Armageddon. I think it was before. I think this movie came out in '98. Jimmy,
It was after.
Jimmy the Tulip. Was it after? Really? Okay.
This was 2000.
Wow. Okay. Well, he said he never spoke to him. And so Bruce came up to him and was like, "Hey man, how come you never talk? We worked together before. How come you never talk to me when you see me?" And he's like, "Well, I mean, I don't know. I heard you were kind of difficult, and you were kind of difficult to work with, and people shouldn't talk to you or anything like that. So I just kind of keep my distance." And he was like, "Well, have I ever been mean to you or anything like that, man?" He's like, "No." He's like, "Okay, well, from now on, when you see me, will you please talk to me?" And he was like, "Okay."
That's cool.
He said they were best of friends after that ever since. Like it was a good story to hear about Bruce Willis. So yeah, I love the whole 9 yards. I love it. The second one, whole 10 yards, awful, terrible.
That's what I've heard. I haven't seen the whole 10 yards.
It's the worst, but no, the whole 9 yards is great.
Yeah. Awesome. Did you guys have any other movies you guys wanted to bring up? I mean, there's a bunch we haven't even mentioned.
If
There's a lot we haven't mentioned, but the one that I wanted to mention just quickly, don't have to say much about it as I pull it up. Well, actually, it was brought up quickly earlier. Looper is one that I absolutely love.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up if they didn't bring it up in the chat.
To me, it's one of the best time travel films that's ever been made, personally.
Yeah.
But I also have a lot of fun with Red. So
Red,
I
man.
never finished that movie. I've never seen the whole thing. What I've seen is pretty good.
Yeah, they made a sequel too. I think they did. Yeah,
they did. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, look, we all love Bruce Willis. Before you hopped on, Keith, I was saying that, like, you know, when we were kids, it was all about the movie star, and I can't think of a bigger star when I was growing up than Bruce Willis. I mean, there's guys that were maybe on his level, but I can't think of a bigger movie star like 90s, early 2000s than Bruce Willis. So this hits home for all of us. We all grew up watching him in one way or another. So it's definitely tough, and it kind of makes things make sense now. But look, there's no easy way to end this conversation. We're gonna continue to love Bruce Willis movies, and
it won't be the last we talk about it either.
No, not at all. And I'm gonna go back and watch some of the stuff I haven't seen, because that's what I actually want to watch. Moonlighting. Like I want to watch the show. I don't know where to find it, but I'm gonna try to find a way to watch Moonlighting and just catch some of those movies that I hadn't seen of his. And I'm sure we're all gonna do the same. All right, well, that's gonna do it for this episode of Apocaflix Now. Thank you, Gio, Keith, Jake, for getting into this conversation with me. Thank you to all the viewers. Too many of you to name, but we truly, truly appreciate you guys coming by and hanging out with us, having this conversation, and dropping some of your favorite Bruce Willis moments and about all the other stuff we talked about too. Before we get out of here, I'll let the guys say bye and where you can find them online. I'll start with Gio Ramos.
Yeah, well, obviously on here, Apocaflix Movies, the Halo series on Thursday. If you haven't seen the Halo series yet on Paramount Plus, I highly recommend it. The first 2 episodes are out. Check it out. Might be worth your time. And then check out our after show that we do on Thursdays, myself and Sean Wingblade and company. And I have my own channel, Fandom United, where I talk about, other movie stuff that I'm really passionate about. A lot of Warner Brothers and DC. So look out for that stuff.
Awesome. And Jake Berlin.
Quickly, you can find me here all the time doing all kinds of crazy things. POV multiple times a week, Sundays, 6 o'clock Pacific for anything Schmodown related. And then I do a little show called The Whiskey Jedi, where I talk whiskey, I talk Star Wars, I talk Marvel, I talk whatever the hell I want. So thank you so much.
Damn.
Awesome. And Keith Barnes.
I want to find the other Qui-Gon Jake, shake him down with the
one with one end.
I found him. He doesn't tweet very much, but I can't do anything about it.
Hold on. Can you find the guy who has the Jacob Bartley Twitter handle? Because it's literally blank. 0 followers, 0 nothing. And I looked into it. Twitter won't do anything about it.
It's me. I have the other Jacob Bartley account. I'm not going to
hold on. Can I buy it from you? $100. Come on. I just want my regular name. Come on.
Well, you can find me on Twitter at KeithBarnes79. There's a lot of Keith Barnes out there too. That blows me away. But you can find me on there at KeithBarnes79. See me and Jacob on Bartley and Barnes. We got a new episode. Should be
probably
coming
next
up soon.
week.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we're gonna recap all the stuff from last month. And a lot of big sports stuff too that we have to talk about too. So check us out there. And you can see me with Gio with his hand raised. sometimes on his channel, Family United. Gio.
Hey,
So-
I gotta show. I just looked up the Qui-Gon.
Oh.
Look at the name.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Wow.
Oh, he went to LSU, huh?
All right.
Wow.
Fair
Now
enough.
everyone's going to spam him and say, give up the name, give up the name. It's funny to me because I remember when Jake decided that was going to be his Twitter handle, like it was a big debate, like what your Star Wars name was going to be. So that was cool. And you can find me on Twitter at Jacob Barley 824. Look, I don't mind that Twitter handle because it's the 2 Kobe numbers at the end of my name. So that's fine if I can't change it. But yes, and of course here on Apocaflix Movies, Apocaflix now every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Thank you all for watching again. We truly appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
Boo, Samir.